I was born in Salt Lake City, Utah. My parents were both Mormon, and their parents and grandparents, going back several generations on both sides, were all Mormon. So come from a long line of Mormons. In fact, one of my relatives was actually a bodyguard to Joseph Smith, and he was the founder of the Mormon Church. I always had doubts and questions, and I would just put them on the shelf. I watched a PBS special several years ago, and it really started me questioning Mormonism. I didn't understand the racism of the church. And black people weren't allowed into the temple until 1978, so the racism of the church really bothered me. I also had questions about polygamy. You know, when I would ask questions, that, you know, my family would just kind of brush them off and say, well, that's in the past, and try to explain it away, but it always bothered me. So I went through a divorce, and that's when I left the church. And then I got remarried a couple years later. I would hear preachers talk about how Mormonism wasn't Christian, and the reason they talked about it at that time was because Mitt Romney was running for president. And I would get so angry when I would hear them call Mormonism a cult or say that it wasn't Christian, and I would think, you know, the name of their church is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Of course they're Christian, but I never realized that the God that they serve is not the biblical God, and I didn't realize that because I never read the Word of God as a Mormon. I was in the car with my husband Joe, and my mom told him that I would be with my ex-husband Richard for eternity because we were sealed in the temple and that seal was never broken. So that got us asking a lot of questions, and that got me wanting to search deeper doctrine of the Mormon Church, because I really didn't understand all that. I didn't know what she was talking about. So I got on the internet, and that's when I discovered all this stuff about Mormonism, because you're taught as a Mormon not to read anything anti-Mormon because it's from the devil. Leaving the church, you become an apostate, and Mormons believe that apostates are the only ones that will go to hell. They believe that you know, even Hitler will be in the lowest kingdom of heaven, but they believe that apostates will be in outer darkness. So by leaving the church, you know, even at that point, even though it didn't work for me and I didn't believe it was the one true church, I really at that time had so much fear that as an apostate I would go to outer darkness. So it was terrifying. But even after I left the church, for like 3 or 4 years after I left the church, I never searched for anything anti-Mormon because I was scared. And up until that time, I never realized that, you know, Mormonism wasn't Christian. I just knew it didn't work for me, that I didn't feel God's presence as a Mormon. Mormonism teaches that God was once a man who became a god. He earned his way to godhood, and that Mormons believe that they can also gain their own exaltation. They do believe in Jesus Christ, but they believe that he was their elder brother, who was also the brother of Satan, the spirit brother. They kind of use Jesus as the stepping stone for you to glorify yourself, and not just to be able to be with God, but to become a god. They believe that Mormon men can become gods of their own planets, and they don't practice polygamy anymore because it's illegal, but they believe that after you die, you'll that a man will have several wives and you'll populate your own little planet. Well, I noticed when I went to the Salt Lake City temple where I was married, they had all of these strange signs and symbols on the temple itself. They have inverted pentagrams and the all-seeing eye, just strange things, and it just, I think a lot of those are satanic. And when I went into the temple for the first time to do my endowment and be sealed, you wear all these strange clothes, and there's a part in the endowment ceremony where Satan tells you to put on his apron. So you are actually putting on the apron. You're obeying Satan instead of God. And so just so many strange things. Once I started reading the Word of God, and I realized that Mormonism wasn't Christian, and that broke my heart because all of my family members, even still, are Mormon. My parents, my grandparents, my aunts and uncles and cousins and nephews, they're all Mormon. And The strange thing is my family supported me through leaving the church. You know, they weren't happy about it at all, but we kept a relationship. But it wasn't until I became a born-again Christian and started teaching, you know, against Mormonism that they have completely shunned me. I have no relationship with my family pretty much anymore. So that's been really tough, but I've realized that that's not uncommon at all. I've actually started a Facebook ministry. I have a group of about 310 people that are all ex-Mormons. They kind of are transitioning from Mormonism to Christianity, and so many of our stories are the same about how when you leave the church, you don't just leave your religion, you leave family, you leave friends, you know. Sometimes people lose their jobs in order to follow Christ. Sometimes you have to give up everything, and that's been really hard for me because I was so close to my mom and my sister, and so being rejected by them has been one of the hardest things that I've had to deal with, but it's worth it. I mean, I would give up anything for Jesus.
How great the love of Jesus Christ. Upon the cross of Calvary, the blood was shed that pardons me. No longer